iRacing.
An American-centric season sees us stay in the Western Hemisphere, but this time we go south to Brazil. Who can take the tropical heat? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. You'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel as well as iRacing. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Dan Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Joey, F1 racing in Brazil, it's just such a perfect combo.
Yeah, these cars will fit this track very, very nicely. Varying downforce levels, lots of elevation, and of course, good passing opportunities.
No doubt. And once a monstrously long circuit, it's now a truncated layout, and Interlagos has become a classic. So let's take a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Autodromo's Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its two layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of two circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those two corners. But from Ferradura until Juchao, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo. This layout really is going to be a test, Joey, with the way it kind of mixes both worlds into its lap.
Has that hugely long front straightaway that immediately kicks off down into the Senna S's, so a huge plunge in elevation. But we are here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, 15 turns, 2.676 miles in length. And I mentioned that huge front straightaway, but we also have, call it, that huge kind of side straightaway going down to what is turn number 4, also a great passing opportunity down there. But then through sector 2, it really is more of a point and shoot course, more of an autocross style, as Michael de Turk likes to call it. But then another good corner down there. Juncao, turn number 12. You better get turn 12 right, because that's pretty much at the bottom of the circuit over here, and it leads you onto that climbing front straightaway that I mentioned. You better be able to get the power down and before your competitors, or they're going to out-drag you to the start-finish line.
Certainly gives us some exciting finishes at times, and let's hope we get one today, because the championship has been interesting, although a little bit one-sided in terms of results, just not out on the track itself, because Pauli Partonen has been taking most of the wins. Togo Hisada, though, and Gernot Friesche have been close to him on pace, and Togo's actually beat him one of the races, but that was when Togo finished with another second place to his name, of which I think he's finished every single race in that P2 so far. From there, it's a huge drop off to the rest of them. There you can see with Reed, Viakainen, and so forth, a little bit farther behind. That is the F1 standings. Joey, what's the F2 standings look like?
Yeah, same car, just a different iRating, and right now Luke Rasputic has a nice 13-point lead over Aaron Blair, but you see how tight that battle is for what is second place. Connor Levy only 2 points behind Aaron, trying to steal away that second place there, and then a little bit of a gap back to Ben Summers, Yanni Lehman rounding out that top five, but you see how tight it once again gets between those three drivers. Wanmi only a single point behind Yanni, and then Christo Shinmai only 3 points behind Wanmi. Might as well throw Kirk Clapper in the mix there, a few points behind, and then Alex Marsh King, Byron Long rounding out that top 10.
They also hold a teams championship in this series. And interestingly, Gernot Friesche holding his own with Ferrari leading the points by 100 already over Martini, with Herner and Blair contributing. Parmalat Brabham sees Grinnan and Lehman about 62 points back. From there, it finally tightens up. Huge fight for third between themselves and TVR Racing. So look out for them. Dylan Freckleton, of course, the only one contributing there, doing a great job bringing himself up into that fourth position with the only one on the team. Let's go over the race details, though, Joey.
Yeah, we are halfway through the season here, so round number 6 of 12 is what we're going to be doing here in Sao Paulo. 28 laps around this Brazilian racetrack, an open setup, and I'm sure all of you have seen the social media posts. If you're interested in coming and racing these cars, join the community. They share the setups. The guy who's winning the majority of these races, he's sharing those fast setups. So come out here and race with us. No spare car, so if you pick up any damage, you're going to have to drive with it out there on the racetrack. And then incident point limits, a drive-through at 17 incident points, and then a disqualification at 25 incident points, Joe.
Now, out on this track during qualifying, it's looking like Togo Hisada has the provisional pole. I see Dylan Freckleton coming around to finish his second lap. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take that away, but he should at least jumble up the top 10 as he hits a 24.5, and indeed, he'll jump himself up into ninth. Partanen only third. Now, today could be very important because last time out at COTA, Joey, he tied second on the all-time wins list in the Lotus 79s. If he wins one more, he'll hit second on his own behind Gernot Friesche. But starting from third, that's going to be an interesting task.
It will be, but I'm looking at the time difference here. So, yes, Togo Hisada is on pole. Jack David Spickett, 4/1000ths of a second behind Togo Hisada. You don't really get much closer than that. And then you go down to Pauli Partanen, the driver you were just mentioning, only 6/600ths of a second behind Jack David Spickett. So, I mean, we're looking at three drivers all separated by, half a tenth of a second there inside the top three. Doesn't really get much closer than that.
Makes for a pretty good fight, at least on paper. Let's see if it winds up that way in the race, because it is definitely different in these cars between qualifying and the race itself, as it looks like qualifying is done. So let's go through our starting order. Togo Hisada on the pole with Spickett next to him, as we mentioned. Partanen starting from third. Nick Tisson will be starting in a P4. Oye Zamaloa will start fifth today. Karthik Pai in P6. And then Kjell Svensson will be P7. Timothy Reed, 8th, as Dylan Freckleton is on the inside of row 5, and Jack Wells will round out our top 10.
And then across the page over into 11th place is Aaron Blair in that number 21 car. Philip Coonart going to be rolling off on row number 6 and 12th. Javier Mascara here in 13th with Luke Witten in 14th. Connor Levy, 15th, with J.D. Rodriguez next to him in that Ferraman machine in 16th. Alessandro Parigi in 17th with Fabian Don in 18th. And then row number 10 has Gabri Martinez and Hans Sommer.
Martin Riesman is going to be starting in the 21st spot with Luca Munro in at 22nd. Then it's Tobias Nara, 23rd, and Kevin Parrish, 24th. Row 13 sees Barry West flanked by Keith Turner, two longtime veterans in this series. Jana Lehman, 27th, and Ben Summers, 28th. Then it's Daniel Gallus, 29th, and Sander Van Verbrugge will be starting in 30th. After that, it's Ellis Spice, Matthew Cockerham, and Matt Lunas will be rounding out our 33-car field, and it's top split as well, so it is certainly going to be a lot of fast drivers here today out of those 33 competing. We're just waiting for the last of them to get on the grid, of which I think Partanen is the only one in that third spot, so he's making sure everybody has to sit tight before we get the call, and now he's plopped himself out on the grid. The engines start to rev as the lights come up here in Sao Paulo. Who is going to be first down to the first corner? Green flag is out, and off the line, Hisada, starts to bog down in the second phase. Spickett is already past him, and to the first corner, first down through the Senna S. Partanen going to be able to take second away as well.
That was a huge hole shot from Jack David Spickett, and now he finds himself in clean air, accelerating through turn number 3, but watch out for Pauli Partanen. You might have a little bit more top speed in that machine, and there you see Jack David Spickett already struggling on the front straightaway, simply lets Pauli Partanen by, and we got a huge wreck on the straightaway.
Oh, that is a shame to see as they made it through the Senna S clean. That's usually the more difficult part. Well, Nick Thyssen is going to try and go side by side with not Togo Hisada, but Oya Zamaloa down to his inside through the horseshoe. He's got the right-hander coming up here as well into turn 8. The question is, can he finish the job? The answer is no, as Nick holds on.
Oh, and almost there's a little bit of contact between the two, and unfortunately Zamaloa has a big-time power slide. Talk about some car control to hang on to it. Now another car just locks up trying to avoid. I believe that was Svensson there in that number 11 car, but nice job not to go banging into anybody, in that yellow car of Karthik Pai takes advantage.
Certainly caught out Svensson as he spun the wheels trying to come off of the duck spill. That has separated sixth place from those top 5 who are starting to pull away, and it is going to be Pauli Partanen from third to first in the first lap of this race.
I was noticing something interesting after qualifying had ended, but before the drivers had actually lined up on pre-grid. Togo Hisada had put down in the chat, it feels like the track is an ice rink, and Pauli said, yeah, it was super slippery. Jack David Spickett was the only one who says, yeah, I think my setup actually paid off. So that tells me, Joe, I wonder if JDS is on more of an alternative higher downforce setup.
Could be, and maybe that's why he was so easy to pass there at the very start as we follow on board with Zamaloa sitting in 5th. That is Nick just in front of him after he's made that pass about a lap ago, but he needs to get closer than this to try and take this one back. Remember, these races are not very long, and this is old school F1 style. There are no scheduled pit stops.
No scheduled pit stops, so all of the performance is going to have to be done with the talking on the track. And right now, riding on the nose of that car that we are now watching, Zamaloa there in that white number 2 car. Had that huge moment just a lap or two ago, and let's take a look at this replay of what happened on the initial start. Joe, I'm not sure who got caught up in this. Oh, no, is that J.D. Rodriguez in the Ferraman machine, and then also the number 13, that's Jack Wells involved.
Yeah, I think just maybe a bit of miscommunication coming down the Retta Aposta. And collects his teammate on top of things. A few more cars unable to stop in time. So definitely a number of drivers with damage. Levy, West also, it looks like, involved. Fabian Dan potentially taking to the pit lane because of that. As we come back to the lead, Partanen, Spickett, and Hisada are starting to run away. Nick can't seem to keep up with them. It's already almost 3 seconds.
Yeah, there is a big gap between our top 3, and then, like you said, that 4th place car there. So just a little bit of a pace difference, but that's also kind of what we saw in qualifying, is that these 3 cars were about quarter of a second, maybe 0.3 of a second per lap faster than anybody else out there. So I wouldn't say that I'm too surprised to see them pulling away, but you look back throughout the field, I think this is our biggest group right here. It goes from 10th place all the way back to what is 16th.
Yeah, this is a huge cluster of cars being led by Gabriel Martinez sitting in that 10th spot. Any one of them has a slip up, especially through this section, They're going to get absolutely freight trained. You do not want to give up track position, as we will ride on board with Luke Witten now in the 15 car.
And I know, depending on the drivers and who you talk about, I think that the autocross section is probably not necessarily the best passing opportunities through the middle of the racetrack, but this corner right here, you got to get on the gas. That's turn 12, and you see the steep uphill climb right here. You need all the horsepower. You need all of that momentum, and of course the slipstream helping along Luke Witten here. I haven't checked the top speeds. 170 by the time they get to start-finish line here, and it kind of looks like they hit that terminal velocity up there, about 170, 171 miles an hour, even in the draft.
Still pretty fast in this car, because this is a short lap, we have to remember, around this place. It's a long straightaway, but you don't really have too many that are that long when you're circulating so quickly around. Luke's still kind of stuck in this group with no place to go, although in front of him it was tight between Nara and Mascara for that position. So if they start to tussle, he could see an opportunity.
Jumping back up to our lead pack up here. Seems like JDS is maybe just a touch further behind Pauli Partanen than what Togo Hisada wants him to be right now. So you see this black JPS-themed number 3 car really trying to show the nose on the beginning half of the corners, just try to get a little bit of clean air to that wing up there, trying to maximize the front-end grip. And if JDS is in fact running a higher downforce setup, this is the area of the racetrack where he's going to really struggle, and Togo's already on the gearbox.
We have to remember that for Togo, it's nearly 2 a.m. right now. So for him to come and consistently fight for these podium positions as he takes that second place back, it's pretty impressive what he's able to do here in the Classic Teams Championship. And remember, he's finished in that P2 every single race this season.
He's very consistent, and, you know, I'm really happy to see him settling into these 79s quite nicely at the front, because, Joe, you remember, he would always come and dabble in them, and it just seemed kind of like an off week for him, right? He was always so focused on the 49s in the championships. I feel like this is really the true college try over here, and he's performing quite nicely.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, literally, I believe he's a college student, or university, as they'd probably call it over there, and doing a fantastic job with some speed in these very different cars from the 49s as we come back to the battle between Nara and Mascara, but still he's got Witten right behind in that purple 15 machine, just making sure he can't give up an opportunity as he tries to get the nose underneath the pink car of Javier. Just nothing doing at this stage as Javier keeps leaving that door open on the entry into the corners.
You're right. I think the Mascara there, and that I always call it a rouge and black colored car, is definitely under threat from Nara back here in what is this green number 14, being followed by Luke Witten. And actually, it's Tobias Nara that slips up coming out of turn number 12. So now Luke Witten in this bright purple number 15 is going to have the run. He uses the slipstream, is going to pop out driver's right. But if these cars are even on that top speed, I think that Tobias, all he's got to do is take it in really deep into turn number 1. Luke Witten hangs tough on the outside, but can't capitalize on the pass.
Nice job by Tobias to hold on to that position. And in behind them, watch out for Alessandro Parigi. He's in that yellow and white, so he could also become a factor in this fight as they go single file once again. As we jump a little bit forward, saw a battle behind them as well, but that is Blair and Sommer getting very close, and this down into the braking sees Kevin Parrish trying to go on the attack of Monroe.
Yeah, it's Luca Monroe there in that orange number 30 car. Kevin just trying to find a way around. The outside's not going to work up there at the top of the hill of what is 6 and 7. Sometimes you can kind of start to force these over-unders throughout this section, but I just don't see Kevin quite close enough in order to really put that pressure on Luca where it's going to be forcing him off the line.
Both are having a pretty decent day. Luca's up 5. Parrish is up 6 positions from where they started in this race, but also having a good one is Togo Hisada. He's starting to catch Partanen and looking very quick in a straight line.
Well, I don't know. The reason why I was chuckling there is because Pauli Partanen was using the pit entry lane, so he's protecting all the way drivers left on the inside of the racetrack, so that way he barely just cuts over right in front of the tire barriers to avoid any impact. But you're right, Here comes Togo Asada. He's right in the slipstream going down towards turn number 4. He shows the nose, but Pauli defends really deep on the brakes.
Not willing to give this one up. A little wide there from Togo as the 3 catches a little bit of the off track, but he's still within the paved bounds of the circuit as they come down to the horseshoe once again. I alluded to this a little bit at the beginning of the broadcast, Joey. Yes, Pauli's been taking most of the wins, but Togo's been there or thereabouts, it seems, most races.
And when we watch the 49 races, I always feel like the middle section is where he really excels, right? Like, let's say if he doesn't get enough practice in, he's using that first quarter of the race, first third of the race to really take the notes. And then all of a sudden he learns on the fly so well, and he's able to then apply it and essentially make the passes to go up there and go for the win. I almost feel like that's how this season is also going. He's kind of taken the first third, really understood the car. He's been there, and now he can actually apply it. And once again, Pauli Partonen, you see even the net code. That's how close he's going to that tire bundle. And Togo Asada deep on the brakes into turn number 1. Pauli Partonen carrying the momentum around the outside is able to defend once again.
Oh, he's got to watch out. Here comes Jack David Spickett. He saw an opportunity, but maybe wasted a bit of his momentum trying to go around the outside of Curva de Sol. Now it's going to be a drag race down into turn 4, and he backs out of it, knowing that maybe it's better to save it for another attempt from Hisada on the lead. But, man, this is a difficult spot for Togo. Did we have more issues? There's a wheel going off. Not sure if that's legitimate.
Yeah, and I think I saw the name of Hans Sommer start to kind of fall down the order, so unfortunately maybe the 22 had a little bit of an issue. To check back in here on Tobias Nara. Remember, we were looking at him a little bit earlier, and now it's actually Javier Mascara and Tobias. Oh, no, that was a problem right there with one of the cars going off. I believe that was Alessandro in the number 19.
It was very similar to what we saw before in a straight line. 2 cars coming together. I think he made contact with Blair.
So unfortunate. Oh, and then a nice side-by-side pass, but unfortunately, Hans Sommer right here getting forced off of the racetrack, so I think the woes continue there for that number 22.
Well, you were right. It was Hans Sommer missing a tire. It got taken off with contact, I think, actually with Nara, it looks like. So he's got 3 wheels on his wagon. He's just limping back to get to the pits. Here it is. Hans Sommer, wheel to wheel. Or at least it will be literally wheel to wheel in a moment. Oh, 1 hit and then 2 hits, and that was more than the suspension could take.
Yeah, and there you see it just kind of bouncing down the racetrack. Thankfully, though, these open wheel cars have such a good platform. You can usually drive it back on 3 wheels. Oh, wow, that was a 3-wide move there. That was Dylan Freckleton in that bright purple machine. I believe that's Luca Monroe right there in that red car directly in front of him. That was a moment down there in turn number 1.
Now, did we miss something happening to Freckleton? Because he's lost 7 spots from where he gridded up. Right now, as you said, battling with Monroe and Parrish, kind of sandwiched between them. I don't remember anything major that we saw on screen.
I'm with you. I definitely missed it as well. So, yeah, definitely something happened to Dylan, and now he's making his way back up through the field.
Back a little bit behind them, Parigi has recovered, or has he, as the car slips sideways back across the track he goes. Everybody manages to avoid him before it becomes a multi-car incident, but clearly the 19 car is wounded.
Yeah, and that was a tough one. I think I saw him just out a little bit wide up on top of the hill, and Joe, you know how important the aerodynamics are on this car, especially going the underside of the car. When you roll up over those exit curbs, it can upset that entire aero platform.
For those joining us for the first time, this Lotus 79 is famous for pioneering the ground effects that you see now in modern F1, although it was banned for multiple decades before it was able to be made safe, essentially, for modern cars. But we were right on board with Hisada once again. Pauli Partonen still leading. And then Jack Spickett just kind of watching behind it, somewhere in the mirrors of Togo. So it's been a bit of a stalemate for a couple laps. When and where does Togo try something again?
And here's the thing, if you're Jack David Spickett kind of sitting watching these two battle, if they start to go side by side and if they really start to hold each other up, I think that car in third place has the grip to get around both of them. But what happens once he actually gets clean air? I just think that these two cars are so much faster on race pace, they're pretty much going to immediately pass him back.
I think fastest lap currently still belongs to Togo. That is worth 2 bonus points. Pole also worth 2 bonus points. So Togo has a chance to make a perfect score here today and really try to put a hit on Partinen's lead in this championship. But he's going to have to pass him to do that because right now those 4 bonus points won't mean a lot if Pauli still wins, who now takes 2 of those bonus points back.
I wonder what has changed in the dynamic, because remember how Togo was just all over the back of Pauli coming out of those final couple corners for several laps in a row. It wasn't just kind of a fluke as we look at Kevin Parrish back here try to secure this pass on Luca. See if he's able to do it down in turn number 1. Looks like Luca's going to hang tough down on the inside there. But back to my point, I wonder if Pauli has made an adjustment in his driving style to get a better run out of what is turn number 12 down there, or if Togo is actually just hanging out and actually cooling down the tires. We know how important tire temperature is, as actually our leaders are running up on lap traffic.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say, is that I wonder if it is some of that aero wash. If he's too close for too long, it just makes it difficult to handle, and he has to try and cool them down, as you alluded to. They're going to go by the lapped car of Sander Verbrugge, and he'll be able to let them go nice and cleanly. This is where we were expecting to see a bit of a gain from Togo, and he does start to reel him back in. But yeah, you're right. He's just not as close there out of that final corner.
And do you see it? It's so funny. It's like Pauli's like, oh, hey, should I come in and get a pit stop or no? And Togo's close enough to show the nose, but not quite close enough to make the move down into turn number 1. But the closer you are, just the more that Pauli is starting to look in those rear view mirrors. I've seen Partinen not even defend going down here into turn number 4. He pretty much says, Togo, if you want the inside line, you can have it down here. Once again, just hangs tough right on that racing line.
Interesting to note, they dropped Nick Peterson by about 2.5 to 3 seconds the first couple of laps. We're on lap 12, and it's still only 3.4, so I don't know if that's down to the battling they've been doing, or if Nick is just a little bit better in the midway of the race.
It's stayed consistent, Joe. It's about 2/10 of a second a lap. I mean, you look at that last lap out of Nick at 24.7. And I guess you're right, 24.7 out of Togo up front, but it's not huge chunks of time. It's not half second. It's not 3/4 of a second. It's a tenth, maybe 2/10 here. And so it's just kind of steadily been that low and painful bleed out.
Another thing that ties in with modern F1 cars is they didn't really do pit stops for fuel back in these days. So these cars have fuel to go from start to finish as well, meaning they're going to start very heavy, they're going to lighten up, and that's why you're seeing these faster and faster laps, faster down the straightaway for Togo Hisada, but not enough of that straightaway as you can't make a move down into turn 1.
But it's definitely the strongest area of the track for Hisada. It's coming out of that, call it final corner, right? I know there's 14 turns, but 12 real turns here at Sao Paulo. So coming out at turn number 12, Togo's just either able to, put the power down more efficiently with his setup as Freckleton looks to continue his charge, make his way around Aaron Blair, so that moves Dylan up into 14th. But I was going to say either Togo is getting on the power more efficiently, allowing that car to drive forward. You always need forward drive. Or simply he's getting on the power earlier than Pauli and able to carry more speed.
So the next group that Dylan's going to try and catch is this trio, Mascara, Nara, and Witten. Dylan did take that P14, now only 5 down from where he began this race. Mascara has been under threat for quite some time. We've seen him, I think, in a battle every single time we've turned the camera over to this Rouge car.
It's been a huge pack through this midfield right here, and you're right. Nara and Mascara have pretty much been in lock and stride out here, just next to each other all race long. We're going to see if it's going to continue, because, I mean, we're only about halfway through here. I wonder if they're going to be staying married the whole time.
Watch and see. Ooh, this is, I thought it was going to be a good run, but that was a slip up from Tobias as he could not get the power down. I think we've seen that a number of times this race where he spun the rear tires, and that has been his undoing as Witten now tries to size him up, coming down to the Senna S. Not enough room down to the inside. force to the long way of the first part, but remember, the track will switch back, and no, he won't even have the inside of the second apex.
Yeah, but if he can keep the power down, this is actually looking really good here for Witten in that bright purple number 15 car. He's going to go all the way down to the inside, and you saw the defensive move out of Tobias. Unfortunately, just the top speed is not there in that number 15 machine. Had to back out of it before they even got to the brake zone.
Two of them definitely having to get creative in that battle, but still no change for P12. Tobias maybe focused forward on top of things because he's still got Javier well in his sights as they slide off the horseshoe and down into the infield section. Kevin Parrish, let's return to his fight with Monroe. Monroe will not allow his foot through the door.
Joe, I don't know. I think it's just a graphic setting on my computer over here, but this paint on Luca Monroe, he's got a really cool spec map on it, and it's got some chrome, but it keeps showing flashes almost like the engine is backfiring on my screen.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah, it's very shiny on the back of that car, but right now he's kind of hoping that Parrish will get distracted by those flashes maybe because he's been hassling him for a number of laps. Coming up past Subidos Dos Boxes, past Water Tower. Is this going to be enough for Kevin? Because he's definitely within the tow. Let's jump back up here to the battle into the first corner. We got a car off, and that is Gabri Martinez.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think there was a little bit of contact that sent Gabri Martinez off of the racetrack there. He was having a fantastic run up inside the top 10. Now he's got himself a little bit of a hole to dig out of it as Nara is finally trying to make the pass on Javier, but Mosquera goes off the racetrack, and he's going to be able to defend, keeping that car ahead of him.
Whoa, and he's got to avoid lap traffic. He wanted the inside line, but sorry, there's no room at the end. And he has to get back out of it. And again, we're seeing so much sliding around from the number 20 car. I get the sense that maybe he's taken a lot of wing out of it, as this is what happened to Martinez. Yeah, wheel-to-wheel contact, never good.
And if I was to be a race director on that one, I'm actually going to call it just kind of incidental contact, because Philip Kuhnhart was the one that was making the pass. And yeah, he slid a little bit wide, but there also could have been a little bit more room given, as we see Timothy Reed here right on the back of Svensson. See if he's going to make a move here into turn number 1 like we just saw. No, he opts to stay right in those tire tracks right there. So they've actually caught nicely this 2-pack in front of them. So that's Oye there in that white number 2, followed by Karthik Pai, Timothy Reed, and Svensson.
And Svensson just pulled over and let him through. Not going to be the case here. Oh, contact, though. It's Tobias for the second time this race we've seen come together with another car. Mosquera is going to wind up facing the wrong way, but thankfully able to carry on.
You know, we need one of those dunk tanks after some of these races, Joe. I feel like Nara and Javier Mosquera would probably line each other up after this one and start throwing at that target, see if you could dunk him in the water.
Yeah, there's going to be a few irate drivers, no doubt, as Parrish versus Monroe rages on. Overtake, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, says Kevin Parrish, but I'll have to do it the long way around the double apex horseshoe. And yeah, I was going to say that's a difficult one to pull off, so not looking like it'll happen this time. And oh, wow, I can't believe he managed to hang beside him just about coming through the next right-hander.
Pretty much was all over those apex curbs there, and you see Luca once again going defensive, but give credit to Luca, because he's actually been putting in some very fast laps and have hunted down Aaron Blair, and Gabri Martinez now is that wounded car directly in front of him. He's missing about half a wing, so Kevin Parrish has been trying to get this pass done on Luca, but Luca's been on the charge catching this next group.
Also worth noting, Nara spun out coming through the junction, so he has wound up losing a couple of those positions. Meanwhile, this is about to get fun here down into the Senna S. Blair rounds the inside of the first corner, maybe trying for the outside. No, Monroe is going to be able to deny him into that 15th spot. Parrish also giving watch as we ride on board with him. Now what's it going to look like coming down to the braking of the Interlagos?
Luca goes directly to the middle of the racetrack. Aaron Blair is going to hang tough around the outside, but just doesn't have the momentum or the power down. And then, oh, that was a lapped car that almost got in the way. That was a 3-wide moment, but thankfully everybody kind of saw it coming, was able to navigate around it safely, but definitely took the breath away there for a moment. And now Kevin Parrish, aggressive move down to the inside. Tell you what, Aaron Blair did not see that one coming.
Great stuff by Parrish, just caught him napping down into the right-hander and was able to get through. Hisada takes the fastest lap back from Parton, and in the meantime, as those two have certainly been trading it back and forth. And look at this. He's still right there, making sure that Partonen can't make any mistakes.
And once again, you know, he just kind of shows the nose down into turn number 4, but Pauli's not even phased. I actually wonder if Pauli's even looking in the rearview mirror at that point and says, you know what, if you feel like passing me, go for it, try it.
A cool, calm, and collected Finn? Surely you jest.
Yeah, I've never heard of one of those.
Yeah. Partonen just, I mean, is an absolute rock today in comparison. And Jack David Spickett still hanging out in that Pepsi machine behind them, trying to keep them on their toes in case they get to another battle. Martinez back on track. Is he going to be able to make up one of these spots?
I think he's still rolling with that heavily damaged front wing. So, unfortunately, he's going to lose out on a spot right there. So, move Gabri Martinez back down into 16th. And this is going to be a painful drive for him. Remember, oh, that was potentially a late lunge there going into the top of the hill. So the driver still very aggressive. He wants to go very fast. The car, unfortunately, not letting him do so.
Yeah, you make a good point. I'd forgotten he was the one that got that damage from the incident, has been losing spot after spot here. Blair, the next one, trying to overtake, coming down into the duck spill, but can't get underneath them. Behind them, that is Ben Summers as well in the bluest purple machine giving chase. Let's see what it looks like down the long front straightaway, because this is probably where Gabri is going to be a sitting duck.
That's what I would assume. However, sometimes in the sim world, the aerodynamics do funny things, and maybe with the half a front wing gone, he's actually a little bit faster on the straight line speed, but see Aaron Blair directly behind him, really not able to do much. But 170 miles an hour from Aaron in the slipstream. Well, we saw about the same for Martinez, pretty much pushing the air in front of him.
I mean, it's not just in the sim world where that can happen. You think about how many times in Formula One where they'll damage the front wing and the driver says, oh, actually, I think it drives better now.
It's true. You know, I think that in current times F1, I'm going to ramble just a little bit. It's so engineering based that the numbers are how they set up the car or how the car should drive, and sometimes in the real world, what's on paper doesn't always match up to real-life physics.
Meanwhile, Parrish versus Monroe. The battle rages on. Nope, we're going to step away from it. Hisada making a lunge down to the inside of the Senna S, but he's not quite there, and Partonen will deny him. He gets the better launch off the corner as well, which is what he really needed in this situation. But Togo has decided 9 laps to go. That's go time.
See if he does anything. Once again, just kind of closes himself in. Gets a little bit closer there to Pauli going through turn number 4. I want to give credit to Jack David Spickett, though. I mean, I don't think that he's got the race car to win this one, but he has hung tough all race long. And here's Karthik Pai going defensive. So he must have gotten around this white number 2 car in the last couple laps here, because it's been Zamaloa leading this 4-pack group for a long time.
Yeah, oh yeah, despite not really having much of the camera on him this race, seems to be holding his own, looking for a top 10 and just dealing with a lot of pressure. Reed getting very close behind him, that's for sure, is Vincent. And, well, no, is that a lapped car in that mix as well? No, excuse me, it's Karthik Pai leading it, so it's not Zamaloa, it's Pai who's soaking up the pressure.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's been Zamaloa that has been leading this group the majority of this race, but Karthik Pai has gotten around Oye at some point here in the last couple of laps, and I think we're seeing why. I think that maybe Zamaloa is just a tenth of a second slower as we see Karthik actually start to stretch his legs away, and now it's Timothy Reed in this bright red machine. He's lining up that white number 2, see if he's close enough. Going down into turn number 1, he's going to have to fight for another lap.
So close, but so far away, which really illustrates what you keep bringing up every once in a while, Joey, is that Having that straight line speed is important. Zamaloa with a bobble coming through Curva de Sol. This is where Timothy Reed has an opportunity.
Yeah, he does. He just overheated those rear tires, but Timothy Reed says that he's not close enough to really make that lunge down into turn number 4, but that could also be the downforce difference that you were just kind of alluding to, as it looks like Luca and Kevin are still in a battle up here at turn number 1. The less downforce you have, obviously, the faster the top speed will be, but the more you are taking advantage of those rear tires. You have to manage those rear tires, otherwise you get those huge loose moments like we saw at Zamaloa.
Parrish finally got the run he needed. Oh, did they make contact in the braking? They'll get away with it if they did, and Parrish is through. Brave stuff. It took a few corners, but he got it done.
More than a few corners, Joe. I mean, how long have we been watching these two battle it out? It seems like they've been going at it for a dozen laps now.
Oh, Hisada weaving down the front straight now, looking either way to try and find his way past, but still nothing doing.
In that slipstream, see what he can do with Pauli Partanen, as Pauli just does a really, really nice job here of staying on the racing line, doing everything that he can to just manage the race from out front, and that's exactly what he's done for 22 laps so far. 7 laps to go.
Still pulling away bit by bit from 4th place as well, so these top 3 are on their own, really to fight as they please. I wonder if maybe Jack will get a little bit more antsy in this. Does he have the pace to do so? Because I feel like if he does, it's time to start making himself a nuisance.
I think so, yes. The time is starting to run out. Fast lap, that last lap, 23.99 from Pauli, 23.88 from Togo, 23.87 from Jack David Spickett. I still think that the Pepsi machine, if he can maybe steal something away on the last lap, that would be his best bet. Otherwise, these two, if it's down to a true fight between the 3, I'm looking at Pauli and Togo.
Same here. Those two seem to be the quickest for sure, but they've got to play very carefully with Jack making this extra complicated out there now. 6 laps to go, coming down to just a few miles left in this race, and still it is hard to decide who is going to come away with the win. Partanen looking to take firmly that 2nd on the all-time wins list.
I'm going to start to watch this battle a little bit more closely just to kind of see if the drivers are actually taking any different lines. I had mentioned that Togo Hisada is so much better in those last couple corners, and that's really where he's able to kind of threaten Pauli Partanen, is using that drive off of the final corner all the way up that long front straightaway, using the slipstream and potentially having that threat down into turn number 1. Through this middle section here, seems like Pauli really kind of opening up radius on the beginning half of the corner. Togo trying to get the clean air to the front end of that wing, so he's a little bit more narrow on those corner entries. And through turn number 12 right here, just the drive is so much better out of Togo Hisada. He's able to close the back half of the corner. I just think that Pauli nails 99% of the racetrack. Togo Hisada nails the most important corner exit,
which has been giving him some very tantalizing opportunities here into the Senna S. Not this time, at least, but we've already seen him give it a go. Just can't seem to make it stick. Down to 5 laps to go now. Ooh, he's closer. Again, the Retta Aposta offers quite a bit of slipstream. Is this close enough?
I think so. But does Togo... There he goes. A huge lunge down into turn number 4, given room by Pauli Partanen. Pauli just barely keeps it on the racetrack, but this could set up something at the top of the hill.
Oh, he's just not there. There's not much braking here into the horseshoe. As close as he is, he knows that it's going to take something ambitious to try and make a move at that corner. Meanwhile, he sticks close as he can. Again, like you said, trying to get some air on that front wing, going to the inside early as we come back to the battle between Parrish and Monroe. He was ahead briefly. They're going to bang wheels coming up into that first turn, and Parrish backs out of it. Big slide from Monroe as he tries to manhandle the car.
And this is going to be a trouble spot here for Monroe, because he lost all that traction and almost contact from the front end to the back end once again. I think that these two are definitely going to have to settle it out in pit lane afterwards.
It is getting spicy out there, and a big lockup down to the inside as Summers also caught out. At this stage.
Yeah, and then we see Aaron Blair here just kind of caught in the thick of it, right in the middle of it. Daniel Gallus now down to the inside, trying to take away that spot from Yanni Lehman. Looks like he is able to do that. Nicely done. Race room given from all of them over there. So coming up to 3 laps to go here for our leader. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I take that back, Joe. They're on the other side of the racetrack. About 3 3/4 laps to go.
Exactly. Yeah, they're so far ahead at this stage. Impressively, though, despite the short lap time, we still have 25 cars on the lead lap. And that's out of 28 I see that are running right now. Ooh, this is still looking fun between these 3. Zamaloa versus Reed versus Svensson. Pi has since dashed off down the road, so he's no longer a part of this little scuffle that we've got going on. Coming into the infield section, Reed very strong, but no place to take his speed.
See about through this autocross area through here. Usually it's just kind of point and shoot, especially with these formula cars. The downforce really isn't doing a whole lot. So yeah, if you can get some clean air, it might help you a little bit, but it's more about the driver managing those rolling speeds and then nailing the throttle right here. A little bit of a slide out of Timothy Reed, but crucially is able to stick about half a car length back from that white number 2, exactly what he needs to do.
Oh, yeah, looking very vulnerable right now. Timothy tries to take the inside. He's managed to get his foot through. He's got the overlap, but now he's got to finish it. Coming down to the braking is a little bit early. Or no, that's late for Zamaloa. It was the other way around. He gives up 2 spots.
Unfortunately, yeah, Zamaloa moves down 2 positions, so his fall kind of continues. I wonder what's going on with it. If he's just not comfortable with the car setup, he clearly doesn't have the pace, and we're used to seeing him up here at the front.
Yeah, starting from 5th all the way down to 8th now after that one, as we return to the battle between Partanen, Hisada, and Spickett. JDS got his first podium this season last time out at COTA as well, so he's kind of on good momentum at this stage, trying to just carry that through and hope that it produces something a little bit more. But with 2 to go at the line, he's got precious little time. He'll have to do something fantastic if he hopes to finish anywhere other than 3rd.
Togo's very, very close here on the front straightaway. I wonder if he's going to make the move into turn number 1. He's looking to the inside. We've seen him go side by side with Pauli several times. It looks like he's almost clear of him. Pauli got the front axle to the rear axle. They're still side by side through what is turn number 3. Look out for Jack David Spickett, who's going to have the run going into the brake zone.
It's going to be a game of chicken. Who is brave enough to try and hold out down into turn 4, a little bit deeper for Pauli, but he is on the outside. It's the longer distance as it's a double left-hander, and Togo Hisada back in the lead, but it's switched back in the Finn's favor as he's now going to have the inside coming into the horseshoe. Can he ride the rim, Togo Hisada, and somehow get this pass done? He's doing his darndest to try and make it stick. He's still right there. Once again, it is going to switch back, coming down through the infield section, but somehow Pauli will deny him.
So close to contact between Togo's right front and Pauli's left rear. You can tell these drivers race against each other every single week. They know exactly how much room to be given. Oh, there's a huge mistake from Pauli Partanen. Togo Hisada through to the lead with 1 lap remaining coming to the line.
He pressed and he pressed, and finally it paid off. Hisada has a huge advantage coming to the white flag. Spickett is the one that is fighting with Partanen as they get the 1 to go signal. The more that JDS fights with the Finn, the more that's going to help out Togo.
100%, and here goes Pauli claiming that 2nd place right here. I don't think that Jack David Spickett is going to have the straightaway speed. He'll have the run right here going down into turn number 4, but once he pulls out into the clean air, I just don't think he's going to have the momentum, and you see Pauli kind of bullying him, forcing him off to the outside of the track.
Oh, but he was shallow into the corner. He goes way off on the exit, tries to carry the speed, use up one of those incident points. The battle rages on. Partanen again to the inside into the horseshoe. That worked out well for him before, and it works out again.
Let's see, does JDS force the issue? He does. Oh. He makes contact with Pauli. JDS is going to lift off of the gas and say, you know what, I don't want to make the pass by barging through like a bowling ball. It's Togo Asada, 1.3 seconds out front.
Credit to both of them. The red mist was coming down as they were both getting very aggressive, but I think they realized better to try and bring this one home, take the valuable points, than to wreck each other. As Togo Hisada comes out of the junction, the last real corner on this track, and up to the start-finish line. Second place, no more here in the 79s for Togo Hisada as he takes the win in Sao Paulo.
What a race from Togo Hisada. He led the most important lap, the last lap across the start-finish line. You see Pauli Partanen going through with a little bit of a Formula Drift 360 there at the end. I think that Pauli is going to look back. I mean, how often do we see a mistake out of Pauli Partanen to let somebody through for the win?
I mean, that was amazing. Just never giving up that entire way from Togo Hisada, and that netted him the win when his rival buckled in front of him. Philip Goonhart going to get himself a nice top 10 as well, beating out Luke Witten, who he was racing with for much of this event. And then Freckleton able to get back to 11th, but he's going to be disappointed with that one.
See the rest of this battle come through here. This is the three-pack. Keith Herner leading it. Daniel Gallus and Aaron Blair. Let's see about the run to the line for all of these drivers. He's going to try to hang on to it as Keith Herner, but he's under threat to the outside. Daniel Gallus is going to try to drag race him to the line. I think that Keith is just barely going to hang on to it.
By a thousandth of a second. So 17th, definitely a close one down to the line between those two. But we're going to see 24 drivers finish on the lead lap, and the first of them was the first ever win for Togo Hisada today. He is going to be beside himself to have been able to do that. Took himself 27 tries, apparently. Big thanks to Craig King getting some stats in for us behind the scenes here as we take a look at the results of today's race with Togo Hisada finally getting it done. It was Pauli Partanen in P2, so still doing good in the championship as he's had a first, a second, and a third so far this season. Jack David Spickett, another third place for him. Nick Disson was P4 as Karthik Pai was fifth, and then it's Timothy Reed in sixth. Svensson comes home in seventh, Zamaloa in eighth, Kuhnhart ninth, and Witten rounds out your top 10.
Dylan Freckleton here in 11th with Javier Mascara in the thick of it throughout the entire race, finishes 12th. Tobias Naro, which was his nemesis all race long, finishes 13th back here. But, props to Tobias. He's actually one of our biggest movers, up 10 spots there. Luca Monroe also +8, finished 14th. Kevin Nice Day +9 in 15th. And then our biggest mover, Ben Summers, +12 positions to finish in 16th. And then we saw the finish there between Keith Herner, Daniel Gallus, and Aaron Blair. Yanni Lehman rounding out the top 20.
Gabriel Martinez was 21st as Alice Spice is 22nd. Martin Riesman will be 23rd. Cockram will be the last driver on the lead lap there in 24th. Parigi, P25, as he definitely got into a bit of trouble today. Connor Levy, 6 laps down, 26 for Brugg. Managed to get back out on the track, 7 laps down in 27th. Barry West as well, 9 laps down in 28th. From there, it's DNF for Matulenas, Sommer, Dan Wells, and Rodriguez, unable to make it to the finish. Looks like we've got P2 ready to talk to us. Pauli Partanen still coming home with valuable points, as I mentioned in this race. But I'm curious to hear his thoughts. Pauli, a mistake very late on cost you the win, but I could see you congratulating Togo, so it looks like you're not too mad about it.
Yeah, I'm not. Togo's a great guy, and I think this is his first broadcast win, so he deserves it. Right, he really deserves it. And yeah, we had a second last lap, very very good battling, and I think I might have overheated my tires or something like that, because suddenly my rear tires just went out of grip on the last corner when we were coming to the last lap, so I don't know what happened, but yeah, clear mistake from my side, and deserved win for Togo.
And let's talk about what put you in that position, the start of the race, managing to get to P2 by turn 1, and then you were leading by the end of the first lap.
Yeah, that was actually super cool. I was super nervous about the start because I think this was first time I started at P3, so I knew that I had to make super cool launch, and I took a bit of a risk with it, so I went like full risk with the start, and it paid off. Very, very good start, and yeah, I got the lead, and I think I was leading all the laps except the last one, that was the crucial one, so not enough leading laps still.
Well, that could wind up being a bit of a valuable lesson because we're going to Long Beach. I assume you're going to try not to lose that pole next time out.
Yeah, I try not to. Yeah, that's the plan. I know Togo is super fast, Long Beach. We raced there last season, and he had a pace, like super good pace. He was like almost half a second faster than me, so I think the quali and start will be very crucial there if I want to even dream about winning.
Well, again, congratulations on another podium. It's been an impressive season, and can't wait to see you in California.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Pauli Parton in P2, ahead of the man that Joey has, or behind the man that Joey has caught up with. It is Togo Hisada.
Togo Hisada, dude, the first broadcast win for you in the Lotus 79s. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Yeah, amazing feeling.
How do you feel?
It's just incredible. Yeah, really tough to beat Pauli. Yeah, first I caught up him at the first. I got battle with him. Was the last season the Hockenheim link, and then the 7-8 weeks. It took 8 weeks to finally beat him. So yeah.
Well,
happy.
and you beat him fair and square. I thought that you had the speed today to make the move. You showed yourself plenty in turn number 1, but it was his mistake down there at turn number 12. Did you have a plan to get the pass done in those last couple laps, and where do you think you would have made it?
Yeah, just he's very good in the turn 2 and the turn 3. Yeah, so the I'm not believe that I just pass him in the single corner. So it just took him pressure or took him with a side by side and the try to overheat it both tires. And just wait for his mistake. But this is very rare. But fortunately, he did mistake. So that's half a plan, but the half a luck.
I mean, an absolute killer race from you, Togo. You had the pressure on him all race long. I know that you had a little bit of a slip up at the start with the standing start, but you kept the pressure on all race long, forced him into a mistake, collected the win. That was awesome to watch. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
At first, this wonderful, great Global SimRacing Channel broadcasting team and the Lotus 79 communities, and of course the Pauli Partonen. Thank you very much.
Always respectful to all of his competitors, even giving a shout out to Pauli Partonen right there, his competitor that finished second. But Togo Hisada claiming that first broadcast win here in the Lotus 79s. I'm sure it's the first of many to come.
I mean, you could hear the smile in his voice. That you could tell that meant a whole lot to him. It looks like that actually wraps up our interviews for today. So really enjoyed getting to cover this once again with this fantastic series. A big thank you, of course, goes to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. But Joey, I have to say that I feel like the phrase "patience is a virtue" really often pays off in racing.
It does, and today for Togo Hisada, the patience did pay off for him, but I think it's almost a changing of the tides, if you will, Joe. I mean, how long have we seen Pauli Partonen just out here dominating these races? I had mentioned he makes the setups and he shares the setups with all of the community. So he's trying to get everybody else on the level playing field. Togo Hisada is finally that challenger. He's coming out here. He's now starting to steal away the wins. And I mean, talk about a first broadcast win for Togo Hisada, but it also prevented Pauli Partanen from becoming second on that all-time wins list.
Ooh, that's a good point. We had lost track of that stat. But some of the stats that you need to know as to what's coming up. And of course, as we mentioned, our next race is going to be at Long Beach. That's going to be an important one because it's very difficult to overtake there, much like it is with modern IndyCar. That'll be May 4th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, we've got more races coming up a little bit later. We're going to be off for about a week. We'll be back for the Lotus 49s at Watkins Glen, but then lots more action next weekend with all kinds of fantastic racing. So be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here, Joey. Again, it's always such a joy to get to cover these vintage cars, and really shows what amazing racing they put on.
And you look back through the first 5 races and now the first 6 races of this season with the Lotus 79s. I mean, it is Pauli Partanen versus Togo Hisada. It's been Pauli kind of the victor through the first handful of rounds, but now Togo is officially on the top step.
I think we got a good rivalry brewing without a doubt. But again, thank you for watching today's broadcast. It's glad to have you on here. We'll be back for more, but until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.